Chelsea woke up that morning feeling energized and ready to start her day. The romantic moment she had witnessed from the couple camping next to her reminded her of the time she spent with Ken, stirring a wave of sadness within her. She shook off the feeling and headed into the bushes to gather dry wood for a fire. After collecting a good bundle, she quickly started the fire and prepared herself a breakfast of baked beans, a sunny side-up egg, toast, and a cup of mint tea. Sitting in front of her tent, she enjoyed her meal while taking in the beautiful view of nature. Once finished, Chelsea took out her father's guitar and began to play some songs. Time flew by and soon it was evening. The sunset was stunning. It looked like a bright yellow flame in the sky, streaked with hues of red, orange, and pink. The colors painted the sky like an artist's canvas. Chelsea gazed in awe, saying, "Oh my goodness, I wish I had a camera to capture this sunset and show it to Rachel." With a smile on her face, she thought, "I guess I'll just read a book and drift off to sleep." She grabbed a book by her favorite author, Charlotte Bronte, and became engrossed in the story. Suddenly, she heard footsteps approaching her tent. Grabbing the baseball bat she kept for protection, she prepared to defend herself. Then a soft voice came from outside, "Hello there." Chelsea recognized the woman she had seen earlier with her husband. Her anxiety eased when she saw the warm smile on the woman's face, though she still held onto the bat tightly. "Hello, ma'am," Chelsea replied with a forced smile. The woman stepped closer and said gently, "My name is Esmeralda. I live in the tent over there with my husband." She pointed to a navy blue tent not far from Chelsea's. "I overheard you playing a beautiful song this morning. It's one of my husband's and my favorites. We came here to celebrate our 15th wedding anniversary, and I was hoping you could play that song for us as a surprise." Chelsea's heart softened at the request. "Of course, Esmeralda. You can call me Chelsea. I'd be honored to play the song for you." Esmeralda's face lit up with excitement, and she took Chelsea's hands in hers. "Thank you so much, Chelsea. This means a lot to me. Today is our last night here and I want to make it special." "Just let me grab a jacket and then I'll help you set up," Chelsea replied. Esmeralda's husband was sleeping in their tent. Earlier, she had picked some wildflowers and fruits, and together with Chelsea, they prepared a cozy dinner for two. They used a mat and some flat cushions for seating, and Chelsea decorated the mat with the flowers Esmeralda had picked. The finished setup was beautiful, complete with a lit lamp in the center. "Oh my goodness, Chelsea, I had no idea you were this talented. Are you a designer?" Esmeralda exclaimed. Chelsea smiled. "No, not at all. My mom used to do this a lot and I learned by watching her." Esmeralda, still amazed by Chelsea's creation, replied, "Your mom must be so proud of you." For a moment, Chelsea's expression turned somber, but she quickly returned to her cheerful demeanor. "Let's get your husband out here." Esmeralda nodded and went inside the tent to fetch him. When he emerged, Chelsea began to play their favorite song, "Can't Help Falling in Love." Esmeralda's husband was deeply touched by the setup and smiled at his wife, kissing her on the cheek. "I'm the luckiest man on earth to have you, my darling Esmeralda. I will love and cherish you forever." They danced together, swaying to the music under the beautiful twilight sky. Meanwhile, at Robert's corporation, Ken sat restlessly in his office chair, unable to shake thoughts of Chelsea since he saw her at the mall. He didn't understand why he missed her so much or why memories of her kept flooding his mind. "Why do I keep thinking about her? I miss how she calls me baby. I miss the feel of her lips on mine. I'm going crazy." He muttered to himself, lost in his thoughts, until Larry, his secretary, walked into the office. "Sir Roberts, did you hear what I said?" Larry cleared his throat. Ken snapped out of his trance, annoyance creeping into his voice. "Did you forget to knock before entering my office?" Larry felt chills from Ken's stern gaze. Sir, I knocked twice and got no response, so I came in," he stammered. Ken, not in the mood for explanations, demanded, "What is it?" Larry straightened his tie. "Sir, the meeting with Starlink Conglomerate is scheduled for Wednesday." Also, the wedding planner called to confirm when you and Miss Richards would be coming for your final fittings. Ken stayed silent, running his fingers through his hair, feeling overwhelmed. After a moment, he said, "Larry, cancel all my meetings for today. I don't want to be disturbed." "Understood," Larry replied. Before he left, he turned back and said, "Happy birthday, Mr. Richards," then walked out. Ken suddenly realized it was his birthday, and not a single person had wished him well, not even his fiancée, Helena. His thoughts immediately drifted to how, last year, Chelsea had stayed up until midnight to wish him a happy birthday. Flashback to over a year ago, it was Ken's 28th birthday, and Chelsea eagerly awaited midnight. When the clock struck 12, she called him. "Happy birthday, baby. I wish you all the best life has to offer. May you find happiness in everything you do. I love you now and always." Ken's smile beamed. "Thank you, love. You're the first one to wish me a happy birthday. I love it. Anything for you, my big baby." Chelsea giggled. "Are you free tomorrow?" "Yes, I'm free after 2 p.m., Ken replied. "Perfect. Join me at Blue Garden Park at 4. Dress casually, nothing too fancy." "Yes, ma'am," Ken responded, his voice playful. The next day, Chelsea waited by an ice cream truck at the park while Ken arrived right on time. When he called to announce his arrival, she walked over wearing a blindfold. "Hey, Kenny. Welcome." She gave him a quick peck on the cheek before placing the blindfold over his eyes. "Don't worry. Do you trust me?" Ken replied with a smile. "Yes, I do." Chelsea led him to a picnic spot by the lake, set up for two. It was beautifully decorated with balloons, a basket of exotic snacks, and his favorite wine surrounded by rose petals. When he finally removed the blindfold, his eyes widened in surprise. "Happy birthday, my love," Chelsea exclaimed. Overwhelmed with joy, Ken hugged her tightly as if he might burst with happiness. The hug was so tight that Chelsea felt as if she was being squished in his arms. She tapped his back and said, "Baby, if you don't release me now, I might be squished like an orange in your arms." "The hug is too tight." Ken released her with an awkward smile and said, "Sorry, baby. I was just overwhelmed. No one has ever done something like this for me. Thank you so much, my love. I really love the surprise." He leaned down and kissed her passionately. Back in the present, Ken was startled when his phone rang again. It was Helena. Frowning, he answered with an indifferent tone. "Hey, Helena." "Hello, honey." The wedding planner called. "I told her we'd meet tomorrow after midday, so make sure you're ready," Helena said. Feeling annoyed, Ken snapped, "Did you even remember that today is my birthday?" There was a moment of stunned silence. "I'm sorry, I didn't remember. I promise I won't forget next year. But I have to go, my friends are waiting for me." "Bye, honey," she quickly ended the call. Ken sat in shock, unsure whether to laugh or cry. A flood of thoughts raced through his mind. He let out a bitter chuckle and muttered to himself, "Ken, you really messed up." He decided to call his mom. When she answered, he said, "Mom, are you at home? I'm coming over. I need your help." His mom confirmed she was at home and said he could come by anytime. What is it that Ken needs from his mom? After Ken ended the call with his mom, he scrolled through his WhatsApp and found Chelsea's number. He started browsing their messages and came across countless pictures she had sent him, which he had never really paid attention to before. As he looked at a selfie with the caption, "Your Aurora," he realized how truly beautiful Chelsea was. He had never taken note of her features before. Her eyes, he had always thought were amber, were actually hazel. She didn't wear much makeup, but her skin was flawless, and she had sharp, defined features, especially her sculpted nose and heart-shaped lips. "Gosh, Chelsea, I didn't realize you were this beautiful," Ken muttered to himself, running his fingers through his hair. He stood up from his chair, grabbed his phone and car keys, and stepped out of his office. Larry was waiting in the corridor. "Tell Derek to go home. I'll be driving myself to my parents'," Ken instructed. Larry nodded. Yes, sir. Ken drove straight to his parents' home. When he arrived, he spotted his mom sitting by the poolside, engrossed in a book. Ever since Ken had broken up with Chelsea, his mother had been distant with him. She had never liked Helena, believing that she wouldn't make him happy. Ken's mom always knew that Chelsea genuinely loved him. Hey, Mama, Ken greeted as he walked over and gave her a quick kiss on the cheek. Amelia adjusted her glasses and asked gently, You called earlier about needing my help. What's it about? Is it related to your upcoming wedding? Ken sat across from her, struggling to frame his thoughts. He was confident in business but always felt timid with his mom. Clearing his throat, he said, Mama, I really need your advice on something that's been troubling me. Amelia's maternal instincts kicked in and she leaned closer, placing her hand on his thigh. Are you okay? What's bothering you? Ken took a deep breath. It's Chelsea. I can't stop thinking about her. I see her everywhere in my house. I know I don't love her, but since I saw her at the mall, I haven't been able to get her out of my mind. I miss everything about her, her voice, her texts, the way she looks at me. Do you think I'm going crazy? Unable to contain herself, Amelia burst into laughter, tears forming in her eyes. Ken was confused. What's so funny? Ken, if you weren't my son, I'd take you to see a doctor, she chuckled. You may be a sharp businessman, but when it comes to love, you're still just a boy. This isn't voodoo, it's love. From everything you've said, it sounds like you really love Chelsea. She held his hand. Listen, your wedding is coming up next week and your fiancée is pregnant. I won't tell you what to do, but you need to consider what's right for you. Do you truly love Helena? Ken sighed heavily. I never meant to marry Helena. It just happened after a night of drinking during the merger signing. I woke up with her in my bed, and now she's pregnant and won't terminate it. I had no choice but to propose. I like her, but I don't love her. This was the first time Ken had opened up about his true feelings. Amelia placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. You're not married yet. If you believe you love Chelsea, find her and make things right. Don't live with regrets about something you can fix. A broken engagement is better than a broken marriage. Life is too long to spend with someone you don't truly love. You can still be a good father, even if you don't end up with the mother. I don't know if Chelsea will forgive you, but there's no harm in trying. Ken leaned forward and hugged his mom tightly. Thank you, Mama. It feels like a heavy burden has been lifted off my chest. With a smile, Amelia said, Go fight for your love. Ken walked back to his car, fueled with determination. As he passed by Myra, he didn't even acknowledge her, treating her as if she were invisible. Myra was shocked that Ken drove off without saying hello. Once in the car, Ken called Larry. I need Chelsea's address immediately. Larry hesitated. Mr. Roberts, Chelsea doesn't live with her brother anymore. His wife kicked her out after the scandal broke online. Where is she now? Ken demanded. She moved in with her best friend Rachel, but Rachel has moved back to her family home. I'm not sure if Chelsea is still there or if she's moved out, Larry explained. Ken felt a wave of panic surge within him. Set an appointment with Hannigan Global Empire right now. I'm heading to their office. Larry felt as though he was going to pass out from anxiety. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and called Hannigan headquarters for an immediate appointment with their CEO. When Ken arrived at Hannigan Global Empire, he was quickly directed to the CEO's office. Martin Hannigan was surprised by Ken's visit. Their companies had always wanted to collaborate but had never managed to do so. Greetings, Mr. Roberts. It's an honor to have you in our company, Martin said, extending his hand and inviting Ken to sit down. What brings you here so urgently? Ken's expression was devoid of emotion as he replied in a low, commanding tone. I've reviewed the proposal you submitted to us last year. We need your services for our southern base. Martin's face lit up with a smile. That's fantastic. Let me call my general manager so you both can discuss the contract. He dialed his daughter Rachel. Rachel, can you please come to my office? Took Rachel about 2 minutes to arrive. When she entered and saw Ken, she was momentarily taken aback but quickly regained her composure. Yes, Dad? You wanted to see me? Martin nodded. Please schedule a date with Mr. Ken Roberts to discuss the contract. Rachel turned to Ken. Can we meet tomorrow? I'll send you a copy of the contract to review beforehand. Ken nodded. That's fine. I should take my leave now. As he stood up and shook Martin's hand, he turned to Rachel. Miss Hannigan, can I speak with you privately? Rachel suppressed her anger and replied, Sure, let's talk in my office. Once inside, Ken started. Rachel, I know you're probably upset with me, but I need to know where Chelsea is. I really want to see her. Rachel could no longer hold her anger. Chelsea? You're the one who played with her heart and discarded her. You think she still wants anything to do with you? Listen, I realize I hurt Chelsea terribly. I want to make things right. I want her back. Please just tell me where she is. Rachel was taken aback by his honesty. She sighed and said, Ken, it's too late. She's gone. If there's nothing else, I have a meeting to attend. She turned and left him standing there, feeling lost. How could she leave? No, it can't be. Ken murmured to himself, pulling out his phone to call Larry. Larry, find Chelsea. I don't care how you do it. Just find her. He hung up and stormed out of Rachel's office. Meanwhile, it was Chelsea's last day at the Halo Mountains. She decided to visit her father's favorite beauty spot, a waterfall about a mile from her campsite. He used to call it the place where dreams come true. Chelsea remembered him saying, Little Chels, whenever you visit the place, make a wish with all your heart and it will be granted. The area was surrounded by wildflowers, especially English bluebells with wild sunflowers standing tall nearby. The waterfall cascaded in a magical shade of blue, plunging joyfully into a serene pool. It was breathtaking. After swimming, Chelsea sat on a rock by the waterfall and began writing about her hopes for London. I wish I could forget about Ken and the painful memories from Wolverton. I hope my life in London is filled with joy. After writing all her thoughts in her journal, she stood up and started walking back where her tent was. Suddenly, she stopped in her tracks, eyes wide with shock. The bag she had been holding slipped from her fingers. What she saw made her heart race. What had Chelsea encountered that left her so petrified? Was it a ghost, something that left her speechless? A man sat on the roots of a gigantic tree along the narrow path she was walking on. She gaped at him in disbelief. He was the most ethereal person she had ever seen. The man before her was stunning, more handsome than any male celebrity she had ever seen on TV. He seemed to embody the epitome of beauty. Dressed in khaki trousers and a black hoodie, he wore a matching black bucket hat that shaded his face. His deep blue eyes were mesmerizing, and Chelsea felt as though she could get lost in them. He had a strong, defined jawline, a picture of perfection. She stood frozen for a moment as their eyes met, her heart racing. The man looked too good to be real. He must have just stepped out of a fantasy book, or perhaps he was a spirit. No human could be this perfect. She remembered her father telling tales of the Gancanis, known for their strikingly handsome features and irresistible charm, who would roam lonely valleys and mountains to enchant women. Still under his captivating spell, Chelsea watched as he opened his mouth and said in a low, husky voice, Please, can you help me? Snapping out of her trance, Chelsea noticed the man seemed hurt. His ankle was twisted outward and he couldn't stand. Oh my gosh. Are you okay? She gasped, rushing toward him. This looks pretty bad. Your ankle rolled out of place. I'll need to twist it back, but it will hurt, she warned, studying his face. Oh my goodness, this man is breathtaking. Stop daydreaming and help him, Chelsea. The man nodded, his eyes revealing his pain, although his expression remained unreadable. Chelsea pulled up the leg of his trousers, removed his sneaker, and said, On the count of 3, I'll pull it inward. Ready? 1, 2. She didn't wait for 3 and pulled his leg inward. A loud crack echoed and the man winced, shutting his eyes tight. Though not a professional, Chelsea had basic first aid training from her time as a carer at Cedar House. I'm sorry I had to pull it on 2 counts. It might help take your mind off the pain. It looks swollen, you'll need to see a doctor. For now, we need to secure your ankle so it doesn't bear too much pressure. Chelsea stood and walked back to where she dropped her bag. She pulled out a flowery scarf and wrapped it around his ankle. The stranger seemed to feel a bit better. Did you come here with someone? You'll need help moving around until help arrives. The man, who had been silently observing Chelsea, shook his head. Chelsea raised an eyebrow, a little confused. Then what are you doing here in this lonely mountain? Are you a spirit? A mountain Genkana. With a slight smile on his face, the man replied in his deep voice. What if I am a Genkana? You might just be my first victim. Chelsea positioned herself defensively. If you are, I'll fight you before you can harm me, she said with seriousness. He chuckled lightly. Before you fight me, my powers will weaken you. But I'm not a spirit or Genkana. I'm 100% human. Chelsea felt her fear subside. Then how will you get to your destination? Do you have a phone to call for help? I do have one, but it's low on battery, he said, still gazing at Chelsea. Let me see it, she asked. When he showed her his phone, Chelsea was surprised to find it was an older model, nothing like today's smartphones. Do they still make these? You're in luck. I have a portable charger that can help. My lamp's charger should work for your phone, but we'll need to walk half a mile back to my tent. Okay, let's go, he replied. Chelsea helped him to his feet. He was very tall, and even though Chelsea was 5 feet 8 inches, she felt shorter next to him. He leaned on her shoulder for support as they slowly made their way to her tent. Meanwhile, at Robert's cottage, Amelia Roberts was walking around the garden after her conversation with Ken. She had a lot on her mind. Since their talk, she suspected Helena might be hiding something. Picking up her phone, she dialed a number. When the call connected, she spoke with a low, commanding voice. Damien, I want you to investigate Helena Richards. Find out her medical records for the last 5 months. I need every detail about what happened on the night of the merger between Roberts Corporation and Starlink conglomerates. I expect that information by the end of tomorrow. As soon as she hung up, Amelia felt a sense of determination. She has always been a strong woman who trusted her instincts and made her own decisions. Back in the mountains, Chelsea struggled to help the stranger to her tent. She was sweating profusely and gasping for air. Oh my goodness, this man feels heavier than a cement truck, she thought to herself. Once they reached her tent, the man sat down. Wait here while I grab my charger and power bank, she said with a bright smile as she entered her tent. She soon returned with both items. Let me have your phone, she instructed. Three handed it to her. She connected it to the charger, only to find out that the power bank was low too. Chelsea shot him an awkward smile. The power bank is low as well, but luckily it's solar powered, so the sun can charge it for a while. The atmosphere felt tense as Chelsea noticed how the stranger continued to stare at her intensely. With his quiet demeanor contrasting her talkative nature, it was becoming uncomfortable. Deciding to break the silence, she stood up and made a quick fire. You seem hungry, she said, rising from her seat. She quickly prepared a noodle dish from 2 bags of instant noodles. Handing a bowl to him, she added, I see you're not much of a talker. Enjoy. The stranger stared at the bowl for a few moments, seemingly unsure. After taking a deep breath, he began to eat. They finished their meal and sat by the fire. Chelsea, feeling the need to fill the silence, walked into her tent to grab her guitar, the bottle of wine she had brought, and 2 silver cups. Today is my last night here, and I'm sitting with a complete stranger who is quieter than a mouse. I'm going to enjoy some wine and music. If you'd like to join me, here's a cup. If not, just sit there and wait until your phone charges enough to call for help." As she spoke, she sat in a lotus position and began to strum her guitar, sipping from her wine. The alcohol quickly kicked in. Raising her head to look at the stranger, she said, "Hey, Mr. Quiet Gankana, why do you guys always act nice at first but then change like chameleons? Do you think women are just objects to be discarded when you're done with them?" She let out a drunken cackle and continued, "Do you know that rich, handsome men are often the worst? I call them stupid capitalists. Let me give you a piece of advice. Never fall in love. True love doesn't exist." The stranger raised an eyebrow, as if Chelsea's words had struck a nerve. Half drunk and unguarded, Chelsea thought, "I'll never see this guy again, so it doesn't matter what I say or do." After downing more than half the bottle, she cleared her throat. "The man I thought was the love of my life is getting married next week." Her bitter laughter rang out, and the funniest part? "I'm not the bride." Tears began to stream down her cheeks as she sang louder. "I don't want to feel another touch, I don't want to start another fire, I don't want to know another kiss or hear another name falling off my lips. I don't want to give my heart away to another stranger." Tears flowed freely, and the stranger finally spoke. "That's enough wine. You shouldn't drink anymore." He reached for the bottle and placed it behind him. Chelsea felt a surge of annoyance and demanded, "Give it back!" "It's mine." She moved closer to him and drunkenly added, "If you don't give it back to me, I'll kiss you right here and now." Stunned, the stranger looked at her as if she were crazy. Before he could respond, Chelsea pressed her lips to his. It was soft, sweet, and sensational. She pulled back and held his face in her hands, whispering, "Ken, why did you hurt me? Did you ever truly love me?" Tears continued to stream down her face. Caught off guard, the stranger snapped out of his daze. He pushed her gently aside. "Get a grip, you can't just go around kissing random people." Chelsea giggled. "I warned you, but you didn't listen. I asked for my wine back, but you didn't comply. This is the consequence of your actions." She laughed again and settled back where she had been sitting. Chelsea fluttered her eyes open and realized it was dawn. Checking her watch, she saw it was already 5 a.m. Confused, she looked around and found herself inside her tent. "How did I get in here?" When she looked outside, her heart dropped. The stranger was still sleeping nearby. What will happen when Chelsea remembers everything that occurred the night before? And who is this handsome stranger she met?